It was Tuesday morning, March 14, 2023, around 10:30 a.m., at Harper & Company, one of the busiest offices in downtown Chicago. The smell of coffee filled the air, keyboards clicked, phones rang. The usual sounds of a regular workday. Then it happened. A man in a worn blue uniform stood frozen near the conference room door. His name was Mr. Harris, and he had spent 15 years cleaning these halls, making sure everything ran smoothly. Nobody noticed him much. Until now. A folder snapped shut at the front of the room. All eyes turned. His name was called. And in the next few words, the life he had built quietly, day by day, was suddenly called into question. Mr. Harris's hands trembled slightly. His heart raced. Around him, people shifted uncomfortably, unsure how to react. And in the back of the room, his 10-year-old daughter watched. She held his hand tightly, sensing something was wrong, but she didn't yet understand just how wrong. Outside, rain tapped lightly against the windows, a soft rhythm that seemed to echo the tension inside. Every second stretched longer. Every glance felt heavier. And in that pause, you could almost hear the question hanging in the air. What will he do now? Mr. Harris was a quiet man, the kind you noticed only if you paused long enough to watch. At 48 years old, his back ached from years of scrubbing floors and hauling trash, yet he carried himself with a steady patience that came from a lifetime of doing what needed to be done. He arrived before sunrise, making sure the hallways were spotless and the office smelled faintly of lemon polish. To most people, he was invisible, but every corner of the building bore his careful attention. He wasn't just a janitor. He was a single father. His daughter, Lily, 10 years old, had grown up in the hum of this office, trailing behind him in the mornings, her small hand tucked inside his calloused one. She knew where the supplies were kept, where the quiet spots in the building were, and sometimes she would sit on the polished floors sketching, while her father swept nearby. Lily had her father's quiet strength and her mother's gentle heart, a combination that made her observant far beyond her years. Even in the chaos of deadlines and meetings, Mr. Harris carried a rhythm, a dignity in the way he moved from room to room. He spoke little, smiled often, and noticed things others missed: a leaky faucet, a smudge on a window, a coworker's furrowed brow. That attentiveness wasn't part of his job description, it was part of who he was. And yet, today, all that quietly earned respect was about to be challenged. In the conference room, under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights, Mr. Harris's routine world had stopped. He had faced angry emails, budget cuts, and difficult bosses before, but nothing had prepared him for the weight of this moment, where years of steady work could be dismissed in the space of a single sentence. Lily, sitting close, sensed the tension before she understood it. Her small fingers gripped his hand tighter, her legs swinging slightly beneath the chair. She had watched him work tirelessly for her, always putting her first, always sacrificing comfort for stability. And now, she could see the worry in his eyes, the flicker of uncertainty he tried to hide. Mr. Harris's world had always been predictable in its rhythm. The early mornings, the quiet corridors, the brief nods from employees passing by, these were constants in a life built on care and effort. But as he stood there, hearing words that would unravel that rhythm, the weight of responsibility pressed heavier than ever. Every choice, every reaction, every quiet act of integrity he had practiced over the years was about to meet a test he had never imagined. The words had barely left the CEO's mouth when the room shifted. Victoria Loving, her face serious, held up a folder and said, "Mr. Harris, we've received multiple complaints about maintenance delays and oversights. Your performance has fallen short of company standards. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated." The words cut through the chatter, sharp and official. Mr. Harris's stomach sank. 15 years of quiet dedication, years of making the office run smoothly, reduced to a single statement in a folder. He blinked, trying to steady his breath, his mind racing. Was it a misunderstanding? Could it be corrected? Or had everything he worked for, everything he had done for his daughter, been dismissed in one sentence? Colleagues shifted uncomfortably. Some pretended to look at their phones, others avoided eye contact. The weight of the words pressed on him. His hands trembled slightly. His heart raced. Pride, responsibility, and fear collided. He could walk out quietly, accept the dismissal, and preserve some dignity. But then he would be telling his daughter that her father's work could be erased without regard. Lily's small hand gripped his, sensing the tension before she understood it. Her eyes were wide, reflecting both confusion and worry. The room felt heavier, every ticking second of the clock echoing like a drum in his chest. Outside, rain tapped against the windows, mirroring the uncertainty in his mind. Every choice, every reaction, every quiet act of integrity he had practiced over the years was about to meet a test he had never imagined. Mr. Harris took a slow breath, feeling Lily's hand tighten around his. Her small presence gave him a quiet courage he hadn't realized he still carried. He stepped forward, past the rows of chairs, past the buzzing murmurs, until he stood near the front, facing the CEO, Victoria Loving. The conference room was still, everyone frozen in anticipation. Lily, sitting a few feet behind him, lifted her chin. Her voice, soft but steady, reached across the room. "You don't know my dad. He works harder than anyone here, and he cares about everyone, even if you never see it." The words landed like a stone in still water. Heads turned, whispers started, and for a moment, the power in the room shifted. Victoria blinked, taken off guard by the unexpected intervention. Her hand, holding the folder, trembled slightly. I didn't realize," she admitted, her tone unsteady. She looked at Mr. Harris. Then back at the child whose eyes reflected hope and defiance all at once. You've made me see something I overlooked." Mr. Harris's voice was quiet, steady, deliberate. "I've only ever done my job. I care about this place because it's where my daughter and I live our mornings, our days. That's all I can offer." The sincerity in his tone filled the space, leaving a weight of honesty that no boardroom protocol could erase. The room stayed silent, every person caught between the tension of the moment and the truth that had been spoken. No one moved. Even the humming of the lights seemed to soften as Victoria looked down at the folder, then slowly back at him. A nod came, subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it carried more meaning than any official statement. In that instant, the balance shifted. The public embarrassment that had hung over Mr. Harris a few minutes ago began to dissolve. The courage of a small girl, paired with the quiet dignity of a man who had given his life to care for others, had pierced the rigid walls of the office. The twist wasn't in dramatic words or sudden gestures, but in the quiet recognition that had changed everything in a single heartbeat. The room exhaled slowly, as if the tension had been held in the walls and floors themselves, and now finally released. Victoria Loving, still holding the folder, took a step back and spoke with a quiet clarity that hadn't been there before. "Mr. Harris, we made a mistake," she said. "We see the value you bring, every single day. You are not only reinstated, but I want everyone to know the work you do matters." The words seemed to hang in the air, soft but impossible to ignore. Mr. Harris felt his shoulders loosen for the first time in what felt like hours. A lump rose in his throat. The humiliation that had threatened to crush him was replaced with something rare, a recognition that his effort, his care, and his perseverance mattered, not because of titles or paychecks, but because of the quiet respect he had earned through years of honest work. Colleagues who had been silent began nodding, some whispering congratulations, others offering small smiles of acknowledgement. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it carried weight in a way no memo or corporate announcement ever could. Lily jumped from her chair, her small hands reaching for her father's, and in her eyes was a light that mirrored relief, pride, and love all at once. The little girl had seen the truth, and it had been heard. Victoria stepped closer and, in a gesture that surprised everyone, extended her hand to him. "Thank you for reminding us all what real dedication looks like," she said. Mr. Harris shook it, firm and steady, feeling a quiet pride he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. The moment was simple, yet the ripple it created was immense. Later that day, as he returned to his routine, the office felt different. His footsteps echoed in corridors that once felt indifferent. People passed with nods, brief smiles, or a word of thanks. The mop and bucket no longer carried the weight of invisibility. but a symbol of quiet resilience that could withstand misunderstanding, fear, or oversight. Lily walked beside him, skipping lightly, and for the first time that morning, he allowed himself to smile fully, knowing that courage, honesty, and small acts of integrity had changed the course of their day, and maybe even their lives. In that quiet office, where every polished floor and carefully arranged chair had witnessed years of unseen effort, the lesson was clear. True value is not measured by position or title, nor by who notices first. It is measured by the care we put into the lives of others, the consistency of our work, and the courage to act with integrity even when no one is watching. Mr. Harris had shown that steadfast commitment and quiet courage can shift the course of not just one day, but an entire life. Lily had reminded the world that even the smallest voice, when grounded in truth, can carry enormous weight. And the office, full of people rushing toward meetings, emails, and deadlines, had learned something they couldn't forget. Respect and kindness ripple far beyond the moment they are given. As Mr. Harris pushed open the office door to return to his routine, Lily ran ahead, her laughter echoing softly down the hall, blending with the quiet hum of a workplace that had learned a lesson in respect. The small victories, the courage to speak the truth, the recognition of effort, it all mattered more than titles, more than announcements, more than any single day. In that moment, the story of one man and his daughter became a reminder that kindness and integrity can reach further than anyone expects. If you believe that standing up for what's right and noticing the people who quietly make a difference can change the world, share this story. Let someone else see the power of quiet courage. Subscribe for more real-life moments from the Empathy Room, where the smallest choices create the biggest echoes.